My name is Bob Emenegger, and several years ago, when I was Vice President, Creative Director of Gray Advertising, which is a very large agency, I took time out to go on a project in this Department of Defense to bolster the image, which was sagging in the early 70s. So we were exposed to all kinds of projects, like we thought about maybe pulling up the Merrimack with the Navy, or 9-to computer, which they were doing and all, but they took us into a clean room, security, and said, but what would you think if we told you we had a landing at Holloman Air Base of an alien craft? And I thought, my wife used to talk about aliens and UFOs, and I just didn't believe it, but said, well, if you're interested, bury that under all those other projects, and we'll open up a correspondence with the DOD, which they did. So briefly, we went to the Pentagon, didn't sign in, we were led into a room, talked to, went up and met with Colonel Bill Coleman, who was Pentagon spokesman, and it began the whole thing. Bill told me, the security risks if you come across things you shouldn't. Then he took us into his inner office and said, I piloted a B-25 over Alabama with a 7-man crew, and he said, I pursued one. I thought, that's interesting. He said, here, someone else that can help you, which is Colonel Weinbrenner, which is the head of foreign technology for the Air Force, and he'll help you further. So I went in up to his desk, and I won't go through what our correspondence was, but he understood exactly what I was talking about. I said, what about the landing at Holloman Air Force Base of an alien craft? Instead of saying, what the hell are you talking about? He didn't. He started talking about other things, Soviets and so forth, and then he said, I have a Hispanic colonel that always makes up stories, the fact that we have little green bodies down in the basement. So the following morning, I got a phone call from Hector Quintanilla, who was one of the heads of Project Blue Book. So it all unfolded that way. All those heads of Project Blue Book that were available were in our program, including the Pentagon spokesman, and also the spokesman, Al Chop, who was in charge when the thing over Washington, D.C., which caused the huge flap. And then the conclusion was the landing at Holloman Air Force Base, which, strangely enough, the film was pulled by the Pentagon, and we never quite saw it. But I did hire Leon Festinger of the New School of Social Psychology to contact 5 leading social psychologists, and gave them the scenario of the landing and how it took place and what happened, the exchange that happened, and they were to determine how would the public react. And most things that came back was the public has already believed, 50% of them believe that they're there, and only if there was an extreme case or people were being taken or divided up into family groups, that might be a problem. But then one of the social psychologists who didn't want his name mentioned is the one who said, what we need as a planet is an invasion from an attack from outer space by some alien force so that we could unite as one species and drive the invader away, therefore to live in peace thereafter, which didn't come popping up until the Reagan administration. And I was called in during the Reagan times to develop more things on UFOs at DAVA, that was out on the West Coast, the Defense Audio Visual Agency. 2 of the men were Reagan appointees, and we were talking about, and I kept saying, is this something the president wants? And they never said anything. I couldn't figure out if it was their interest or whose interest. That never came to pass, and Caspar Weinberger relieved both of those 2 men of their duty, and I think it was not because of Oregon, but because they were going to move Norton Air Force Base and all the film material to another location in Alabama.